Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The ecosystem approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach Show. When you have evolved consciousness, it can seem like you're on a different planet. We have some stories today about evolved consciousness in part 2 of this 2-part series. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with my husband, Jason. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. All right, Jason, what do you mean having evolved consciousness feels like you're on a different planet? What does that mean? I don't understand.
Well, let's start with an example.
Okay.
I remember we had a client a long time ago who felt lonely and unloved by her husband.
Mm-hmm.
She said many times that she didn't want to exist in a loveless marriage. She told us about how her husband, and this was a story she told us, would during the holidays would stand up and give these amazing speeches about how they had this great family and family is everything and loving each other is so important and it was very touching. But then she said the reality for her was so much different. So we, as we worked with her and cleared the negative energy, she developed the confidence and courage, and then she left him. He couldn't believe it. He actually blamed us, those people you've been working with, actually she was working with Patricia. But anyway,
so it's all my fault. And he did blame me. He really did.
He blamed us for putting ideas in her head. In other words, he was programmed to believe that if you did all these things, then everything was going to be fine.
And she was programmed to believe that until we started removing the negative energies. I know I stepped on your
that's
story.
exactly right. And
Yes.
And he couldn't conceive because when you've been programmed all your life, you live on the surface. You don't understand the real emotions.
Back that up, Jason. That's a really big statement.
And so he couldn't conceive that she was unhappy and felt unloved.
Right.
They were on different planets.
Okay.
So when you talk about, I don't understand what you mean by different planets. Well, in a programming world, it's almost like you're in a different planet. And as you become more and more conscious, and then you have evolved consciousness with the ecosystem approach, you start to see things. You start to see a perspective that other people don't see. And we see it all the time. People, going about their daily life, and they're really basically unconscious to all the things that are going on around them.
Well, and one of the things that we've seen with huge amounts in clients is that because they've been programmed with these things about if you have all these things, if you do all these things, then you have everything that you'll ever want and need.
It comes out like, I should be happy.
I should be happy. That's exactly right.
And they're not.
Okay, but I want you to back up just one moment, and I want you to say with your clarity, Jason, what about programming?
Programming, you just live on the surface. And
oh my
when
gosh.
you live on the surface of life, you struggle for happiness. You struggle for fulfillment. You struggle to see the things that are causing the problems in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you struggle to see the things that are causing the problems with your health and your relationships and your money.
Right.
You don't see them. And so when you go out there and say, I need to fix this problem, what happens? You go to someone who gives you what? A programming solution. And,
Yeah.
if you see it from that perspective, you can see programming solutions don't help. Now, we've been in this arena, I don't know what to call it, this spiritual realm, the new age realm, the
There you go.
consciousness realm,
Sure.
whatever you want to call it, for a long, long time.
Yes.
But what we're surprised at, really, I think surprised is too mild. We're flabbergasted, and that's still too mild because we're on the radio and I can't really say how I felt. But we see so many so-called spiritual people, quote unquote, who are giving you programming solutions to your spiritual problems. It doesn't work. So, our job is not for you to come to us and make us the experts, because that's just more programming. Our job is to help teach you how to become more conscious for yourself, and so that you can use this ability on your own. When you force your emotions, see, here's what people don't understand. So what is programming?
Okay.
Okay, so people don't really understand. It's when you force, trick, manipulate, or seduce yourself to do things you basically don't want to do.
Right. Right.
And as you do that, you force your emotions inside and aside. And what happens when you do that on a regular basis, over and over and over again, people become emotionally stunted.
And
when they do come out, when their emotions do come out, and people say, well, I've got emotions. And a lot of people that are very emotional, it's not that they're more conscious because they're very emotional. It just means that their emotions are out of control.
Yes.
And they're just coming out and spewing like it's like a hose that you turn on and it's flopping around because no one's at the other end.
Exactly. Yes.
And really your emotions, when they're out of control, are not productive either.
No, not at all. But programming basically says it's either or.
Right.
It's one or the other, black
people
or white.
People are too emotional, or people are just kind of dull and lifeless.
Exactly. And that dull and lifelessness, people grow accustomed to that, to the point of they think that's how life should be.
Yes.
And it's really, really sad. The one thing I can say about Jason and myself is we are not dull and we're not lifeless, and everybody notices. It's
they can't quite put their finger on it.
No, they can't. That's true.
And a lot of times they, we had an HOA meeting here. We were advocating for a certain person to be on the board. We have a small little community, and the management is by an HOA, but we showed up. We were the hosts, and people liked us.
Yeah.
And people were coming up to me and saying, "Well, will you help me with this?" One woman came up. She wanted me to help her with evaluating some financial stuff, and I was like, I mean, she knew that I was smart. She knew that I could articulate my thoughts, but she just presumed then that because I could do that I could dive into a ledger,
or that you wanted to,
or that I wanted to, which I did, of course.
Yes.
But because most people just we're used to looking to people's credentials to see what they can do, as opposed to just seeing who they
programming.
are. Yes.
Jason, let's talk a little bit about, in this segment, what evolved consciousness is.
When you begin to remove the toxic negative energy in your essence. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people are conscious, and we talked about this in the last show. Mm-hmm. You have some openings, but you don't know how to develop it, and that development is really crucial, especially in today's world, because you're constantly being bombarded with programming techniques and do this and do that. And I think the best example, and I think this is perfect, is that when I first met Patricia, she thought I was hitting on her, but I was just kind of.
He was. Don't let him give you any hoo-ha about that one.
So my game was to.
Well done, dear.
We were talking about this, the ecosystem approach, and I suggested that I do some clearing with her over the weekend, and I do it aside, and then I come back and tell someone what I saw, and we were just getting started, and this was really new for me too, but I cleared her, and she told me. Well, Patricia, go ahead.
I didn't. You cleared me on a Sunday, and the most amazing thing happened for the first time. And I know I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. For the first time in at least 5 years, I actually slept all the way through the night. I had been in a really bad car accident, and it shattered one of my knees. And so I lived in constant pain. It was really bad. And so he cleared me for the first time. And my reaction when I woke up the next morning, well, the first thing was that it took me a minute to realize that it was morning and that it wasn't the middle of the night, and I wasn't waking up in pain. That was the first thing. But the second thing was when I got out of bed and I started walking, the pain was so much less. It was still there. It took a little while to get rid of. But basically, I can dance and do all the kinds of things that I've always loved to do because of removing the negative energy in my physical body, connected to my physical body. It was pretty amazing. So,
and your perceptions were different.
And the colors were just, to me were awesome. And the things that mattered the day before were starting to unmatter, meaning what I thought was important was starting to become unimportant.
So the main takeaway for that is creating evolved consciousness. And guys, if you're out there, and if you didn't have any game like me, clearing that woman that you're attracted to might be your second choice.
How about clear yourself first?
Yes, you always have to clear yourself first.
Clear yourself first. One of the most important things we can do. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Most people who are programmed all their life live on the surface in an unconscious way.
Yes.
Programming forces you to focus on your objectives and nothing else. It dumbs you down to life.
Dumbs down life.
Yes. And evolved consciousness allows a richness in life that in today's world is uncommon and many times just unknown. Mm-hmm. The ecosystem approach can teach you how to have evolved consciousness and implement your uniqueness with this process.
Excellent. So start today. In the next segment, we're going to talk about problem solving with evolved consciousness with, some more stories and examples. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The Knowledge Book, currently studied in 39 countries and 15 languages around the world, accelerates our evolution, takes us out of depression, offers universal truth, protects us, and makes us stronger, both spiritually and physically. So if you are interested in the Knowledge Book, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net and tune in to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Potasic on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
It's time to get your life back on Burn Bright Today with Jennifer Marcinelli. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn to move from the darkness of burning out to the light of burning bright. Jennifer is redefining stress and the energetic causes of burnout, shining a light on process to get your life back. For more information about Jennifer and her work, visit burnbrighttoday.com.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Juliet Griffin on TransformationTalkRadio.com each second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were. This intuitive healer studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Visit OneTrueSelf.com.
How do you feel? Just okay? Well, how about you tune in and get ready to be more with the Healing Hour with me, Doc Martin, every third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I'm ready for your questions, and I can't wait to help you find the answers. Every month, we'll have a new live call-in show with innovative topics and a powerful hour of healing. To learn more about me, visit DrSharonMartin.com. See you there. I'm going to be here. You won't want to miss it.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. In this segment, we're going to talk about problem solving with evolved consciousness with some stories and examples. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, what do you mean by problem solving with evolved consciousness?
You can't solve a problem without knowing exactly what causes the problem.
Okay.
Evolved consciousness allows you to see any problem from a different and more complete perspective. Now, I had someone tell me the other day, I believe there's a reason for everything. And we've heard that many, many times.
Right.
But a lot of people believe that, but then they don't take the next step, which is, let's find out what that reason is.
Okay. And not only that, but I also, after I work with, during a session when I'm working with someone and they come to me with a problem, the most common thing that's said is, wow, I don't think I would have ever seen it from that perspective.
Yes.
And I call this, or I think of this when I'm working with myself or with someone else. I think of doing a 360 view, meaning an entire perspective on something that's sitting in the center.
And if you're listening right now, all of our shows are like that.
Yeah.
We talk about topics that are very much in a lot of people's thought right now, but our perspective is so different.
Because we have the ability...
We have evolved consciousness.
Exactly. To see around that negative energy and see what the true problem is.
So here's I think this is a great story, and this is personal to Patricia, but I think I like using those stories because we're not violating anybody's confidentiality. But Patricia,
he never asked me. Just kidding,
you're on
everyone.
the hook, sweetie. So
yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
So Patricia was having problems. She was teaching one aerobic class, and she was having problems just getting up the stairs.
I didn't have the breath to do it.
And so, long story short, we found out that she needed her heart valve replaced, her aortic heart valve replaced.
By the way, huge surprise.
Huge surprise. But we're going to fast forward. The surgery was a success. The surgeon was happy. He was happy with himself that this was a successful outcome.
Right.
And done, right? Well, then,
no.
Then came migraines that sent her to the hospital 3 times. I remember the first time she had one, she said to me calmly, which was my first hint that there's something really wrong. Jason, I think I'm dying. Call 911. And so I did, and so we did this.
By the way, I've never had a headache hit so hard and so fast and be so devastating. It was painful. It was unbelievable. Within, I'm going to use the word, from the first tinge to the part where I said that to you, it was that it hit so hard. There was, I truly thought, am I dying?
So that happened 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started having symptoms of vertigo.
By the way, and that was about 8 months after that.
Yes, and that was, we went to see a client one time, and she ended up in the street throwing up. It wasn't pleasant, and it was pretty nasty. Well, they couldn't find what was wrong, and
they wanted to send me to a psychiatrist.
Yeah, and she didn't have these problems before,
right?
We did know. I looked it up, and there's some things called pump head because she was on bypass that creates some problems
twice in one day.
But really the answer came, and this is the point that we're trying to make.
Okay.
We knew the story behind her heart valve. Now, we didn't know she had a problem with her heart valve, but we knew her story, and we interpreted it in terms of a metaphor that was consistent with the heart valve problem.
Which was called a broken heart.
Broken heart, and an imbalance of giving and receiving,
yes.
which was her life growing up. You know, she was the black sheep. She had to put out a lot to just have little crumbs of acceptance, where it seems like everybody else in her family was had all the attention and the love that she didn't get, but she had to work really hard for it. So that was her story, okay? And the truth of it really isn't. It's not that it wasn't true. It's just that was the energy that she was holding on to, and it expressed itself in her heart valve.
Right.
Well, even when you remove the heart valve, that energy is still there, and that's what we've been clearing ever since. She's had her symptoms, vertigo especially, are so much more mild than they ever have before, and they're not completely gone yet, but we're still working on it, and because we see the core of the problem.
Right.
You know, the biggest misconception is that once you realize the problem, what's the root of the problem, that it changes it. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't change the energy.
And
realizing something.
And it's great to realize something. Don't misunderstand that, anyone. But what we're saying is that then when you realize what the problem is and you start removing the negative energies, the most amazing things happen is that the person that you authentically are comes forward. And it's amazing because I've never known anyone who didn't actually like themselves once the negative energies started to be removed.
Well, and part of the problem is that often in therapy, once you realize the problem, people say, and how many self-help books have you read that say this? I had this problem, I realized this was the problem,
and therefore,
and then I acted differently. Well, that doesn't change the energy.
No.
You know, it may look good, it may sound good, but that doesn't change the energy. That's programming. So
right.
let's talk about another
story.
Yes,
sure.
This is very personal to us. Mm-hmm. You know, my mom, who's 90 years old, she's living with us, and a couple months ago, she's lost a lot of weight. She was getting depressed. She didn't want to eat, and we thought she was literally dying.
Yeah.
We got home health services to hopefully get some answers and see, you know, what's going on. Do they know what's going on? Blah blah blah. And long story short, they don't know. Mm-hmm. You know, some people gave their opinions, but the truth is, we know my mom's story.
Right.
And after that home health, although it was valuable, it didn't really clear away our confusion.
No.
Other than
understanding that she has dementia.
Understanding that she has dementia, but here's the other thing. It turned us back to ourselves.
Yes.
Like, we know the problem. We used our evolved consciousness, and it gave at least me confidence to know, hey, let's follow our own advice.
And you know, it was kind of interesting. It didn't occur to us for one of us, i.e. me, to go talk to the essence of Jason's mom, this beautiful, wonderful, kind, loving, caring person. And you know, she's an amazing person, and I can see her even now slipping away. And it's the part that's so sad about all of this is that in her entire story, the story that we see is that we know about her, we can see because she didn't know that she was adopted until she was actually 21 years old, and not a very common thing when she was that age to tell the children. But one of the things that I saw when I found out about it, that she believes, even though she was unconscious about it for 21 years, that she was a throwaway.
That's part of evolved consciousness, is that those things, you can't hide those feelings from children or to protect them and hope that they won't feel that, because there's something innate in people, in their energy.
And they can feel it.
That has a knowing.
Right, exactly.
So that's how we're dealing with my mom. Mm-hmm. We're going, she's very hard of hearing. She can barely, just short sentences because it's so difficult. She has a cochlear implant, and she's got dementia, so she can't remember anything anyways. So we go around all of that and talk to her essence directly.
Right.
And we see that my dad who died, 6 years ago, is hanging around and trying to get her. He was always very controlling and domineering, and he always saw my mom in terms of her value in service to him. Well, and I never liked that. That was, I always felt bad about that. And so we're trying to fix that with energy processes, clearing her and talking to her soul directly.
Is really amazing. I'm going to jump in and say is really, really, really amazing.
She's perked up.
It looks to me like she might have gained a little bit of weight, not a lot, but, and she's, she wasn't being happy 2 and 3 months ago, but now she's back to being happy.
And she's
it's
eating.
Amazing. And she's eating. Oh man, is she eating?
It feels like night and day. And
it is.
All because we used our evolved consciousness and talked to her essence directly, and started negotiating with that part of her that's fundamental anyways.
And we could do that, talk to her consciousness, her unconsciousness, or the essence of who she is, because of our evolved consciousness.
Now, if you're listening to this and you want to say, okay, I've got that problem. I want to go to Jason and Patricia and have them talk to my loved one or whatever.
Right.
No, we want to help you do it yourself, because no one else knows their story better than you.
Right, exactly.
And so stay tuned. We're going to show you how to do that.
Okay, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Human problems cannot be solved without understanding of the cause.
Okay.
Even when you understand the cause, you still have to change the energy.
Nice.
Evolved consciousness allows you to create solutions to problems that programming could never, ever, ever see. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to see problems and solutions at the deepest level and then change the energy.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about evolved consciousness in terms of the possibilities for your life and for our world in general. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com.
Message Delivery by Lisa Ann. You can't make this stuff up. Tune in every first and third Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Message Delivery is an inspirational show about the journey to enlightenment and spirituality. For more information or your own personal message delivery, visit angelmessages2u.com. That's Angel Messages, the number 2, the letter U.com.
You know, marriage is not always easy, but skills that improve communication go a long way. Tune in to the Relationship Rehab Show, Recovering Happiness in Your Love with Nancy Landrum and Dr. Pat each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Nancy is an author and teacher empowering couples to create and sustain loving marriages. Learn to listen, speak, and handle conflict with respect so your love can flourish. To learn more about Nancy and her work, visit nancylandrum.com.
Are you your story? Or can you change your story? Can you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your circumstances as part of your healing journey? What if you were to change your expectations? What if you were to invite ease and cooperation into every day and then step back and see what happens? It might just be easier. I'm Megan Edge, And I hope that you'll join me on my new radio show, Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
Want to find out more about Megan Edge? Visit her website at meganedge.ca.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Juliet Griffin on TransformationTalkRadio.com each second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were. This intuitive healer studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Visit OneTrueSelf.com.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about evolved consciousness in terms of the possibilities for your life and for our world in general. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. So, Jason, what can evolved consciousness do in terms of possibilities for your life or someone's life?
It makes you more of the best of whoever you are. It allows you to see what is really in your best interest and who you really are. People are trying to do that all over the place. It's just, you can't get there with programming.
Well, okay, and Jason, it gives you a source of information and perspective that the majority of the world doesn't have. That's that 360 view I was talking about earlier. It allows you to problem solve at a level that the majority cannot. It's amazing. It is truly amazing.
You know, we're always coming up with solutions, and people say, well, you can do that, or I never thought of that. Or,
I can do that? Yeah, that. Sure.
It's like they needed an authority figure because they've been so programmed that says, you can do that.
Right. You know, Jason, we are always making suggestions, yes. But not only can people not conceive the possibilities, they wouldn't even know how to implement, what we suggest if they weren't doing the clearing.
Yes. You know, this is not something, programming solutions are usually formulas, recipes, 3 easy steps, 10 easy steps.
Right.
Do this, this, and this. The problem is that those 3 easy steps may be good for the person next to you, but they don't work for you.
Exactly.
And the ecosystem approach is never 3 easy steps. It's uncovering who you are. We say that in every...
Constantly, consistently, and specifically.
Exactly. We say that in every segment. This is much different than what you're commonly taught.
Well,
and when you're an ecosystem, you get uncovered. You don't get programmed.
Exactly. Well, evolved consciousness applies to health issues and money issues, relationship issues. Just being happy and having fulfillment in life. Programming does those quick fixes. But the truth is, you and I both know, because we used to do them, they don't last. They're not sustainable is the word I'm looking for.
They're not sustainable if they work,
right.
Which is, a lot of times people expect them to work because they're thinking like a machine. So in other words, if I'm programmed this way, it should work. And then if they don't work, a lot of times they say, oh, I'm a bad machine.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with me. When it's just the opposite.
It's true.
It's just the wrong approach for you personally.
Well, and Jason, the world in general has accepted programming as the norm. And, that allows a selected few, I should say it that way, to make decisions. And the rest of us are programmed to carry out that programming or that decision.
Think about that. If you want to live in a programming world, if you are living in a programming world,
we all are, Jason.
You're not choosing your life. Someone else is choosing your life for you by 3 easy steps or 10 ways to do this, or the conventional wisdom or best practices. Do this, do these things this way, do these things this way. They're not thinking outside of the box, or they're not thinking outside of your essence. They're thinking what's good for. If you trace programming, it goes up somewhere, and there's a group of people who are choosing the programming for you, and that's never okay. That's a violation of what I call free will.
Yes. Oh, totally.
And we're here.
Totally.
We're here to live in this free will zone in ways that are choosing, that we can choose for ourselves.
Well, and I'm just going to reiterate what you're talking about, Jason. One of the biggest problems in the world is the disagreement about the difficulties and then how to solve them. But if you have evolved consciousness, we all then can understand we're all connected and we're all individual, and we can then do a collective action that will solve problems.
Tomorrow is the election.
Okay.
And the problem right now is that we can't even agree on what the problem is. We don't agree on how to solve it,
right?
And who's going to carry out that those solutions and who's not. We can't agree. We're so far apart with that, and I guarantee you, the reason we're so far apart is because we've been programmed. It's not that if we were operating from our essence, without that negative energy attached, first of all, we would have this idea. We wouldn't disagree about reality, number one, and we would have this idea that we're all connected, that even though I may have a different perspective, I mean, Patricia,
everyone thinks we think exactly the same.
We do not.
We do not.
Hugely different perspectives, but we always get to the same place.
Well, and one of the reasons
people don't understand that.
No, they don't. And one of the reasons that we've been able to the major reason, the reason we've been able to do that is because of the ecosystem approach and us clearing. And by the way, clearing constantly, consistently, and specifically. The point that Jason is getting at is that we need to start with all of us need to start with ourselves. And one of the best ways for me to describe it, because it's actually out there in the world, when you get on an airplane and you're going to fly, well, when we used to get on airplanes and you're going to fly, the flight attendant stands up at some point. They show the video and all that now, but at some point, the flight attendant tells you in one way or another that if something happens, if there's a problem, and you're sitting next to an elderly person and someone that's very, very young, you take the oxygen. You take oxygen for yourself first. And that's what we're saying about the ecosystem approach, helping not only you first, but then having the clarity to help, let's see, the people around you and then our world.
See, what people don't understand is that when you have this evolved consciousness, is pretty close to what we do as a couple. Because when we have a problem, Patricia has her perspective, I have my perspective.
Exactly.
But there's not competition for those perspectives. We're trying to solve the problem.
We're not trying to our perspective, and we stopped this perspective when we actually started the ecosystem approach. We're not trying to win. It's not about the win. It's about doing what's right, not who's right.
And programming gets to, what programming method, whose programming method,
Exactly.
And the truth is, we're being, there's so much misinformation, and I'm constantly flabbergasted. We hear people on TV and they say things that people listening, they believe that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. They believe that. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. All right. So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Human beings are designed to crave evolving their own consciousness. Evolved consciousness brings out the best of who we are in this world. And we are all connected, and evolved consciousness allows us collective action for our mutual benefit. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
And
ecosystem approach
teaches you to have evolved consciousness and how to use it in your everyday life.
Wow. I have to say, and I know we're going to teach people how to clear right now, but the bottom line is in this last segment, we gave more information that is essential to understanding who you are. Join us. Just join us. Stick with us. And Jason's going to give you the all of the information about how to do that in the next segment. But let's teach them how to clear first, Jason.
So we're going to do two types of clearing right now, for yourself, and then we're going to teach you how to do clearing for the world. So you don't have to have a special posture. You don't have to be very reverent. You don't have to. You can slouch. And do
nobody cares.
It doesn't matter. And so when we say "and to eliminate," whether it's emotions or veils and illusions or barriers, gather those all up and then blow them into a trash can. If you don't have a trash can where you are, use your imagination, create an imaginary trash can. Now, if you've gone to our website, the Ecosystem Approach, we have a picture of what we call the processor. And what we do with negative energy anyways, and I want you to, if you're listening on a regular basis, go get a picture of the processor and print it out and put it on your desk so you have a visual.
Exactly.
And blow it into that processor, because it goes in the top with the negative energy and it gets processed and comes out neutral.
Love it. And then after that, what we're going to do, we'll talk about clearing the world when we get there. But then we're going to activate life force. Life force is the most positive energy that anyone in this entire universe has access to. And what we're going to do is we're going to call upon it. We're going to let it go through the top of our head. It's going to go all the way down our body and our arms to the tips of our toes. We're going to stop it right there. We're going to use that positive life force energy to remove any negative energy that is left over. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to get you started clearing so you can have your own evolved consciousness to create more consciousness for yourself and the country in general. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hey everyone, it's me, Psychic Medium Jamie.
And me, Spirit Walker Nicole from Shades of Spirit, bringing you another Shades of Spirit tip of the week. Jamie, have you ever wondered if spirit or an angel is around you or your home?
Ever since I was a child. And today we're going to go over a few signs and indications that they are near us.
What about hearing your name called but you can't quite find the source? Does that happen to you?
All the time. I see moving shadows or bursts of color out of the corner of my eyes.
I'll have objects that go missing and then turn up in the most random places.
Especially when you're trying to get out the front door. I'll have electrical devices that turn on and off for no reason.
I'll see repetitive number sequences such as 444, 1111, or 1234.
Join us each week, Monday mornings at 8 a.m. for our Shades of Spirit podcast on Transformation Talk Radio. You can also follow us and make appointments on shadesofspirit.com or give us a call at 858-684-7575 to book your appointment.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown, from the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are. The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net. 1-800-323-1790. 1-800-323-1790.
Tune in to the show Heart Change Consciousness with me, Dr. Trish DeRocher, as stories of inspired activism come to life. Listening to conversations with your favorite authors, change makers, and many more who practice inspired spiritual activism and transform vulnerabilities into sources of strength. Let's be inspired together through my show Heart Change Consciousness on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Imagine you are a ball of steel, smooth, small, and cool to the touch. Your life will soften you with fire. You will take hits that shape you. You will be forged into a powerful, purposeful work of art. Tune in to Forging a Life with Coach Christine Clark, joining Dr. Pat Basile in a 3-part series, Truths in the Creation of Katana, on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Christine Clark, a gifted, engaging speaker and trainer who has forged her life in the fires of self-employment, will take you on a journey to exploring the internal, mental, and emotional blocks that stand between us and a life of significance through an analogy of the process of crafting a traditional Japanese sword, or katana. For more information about Christine, visit sunglowtransformation.com.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. In this segment, we're going to get you started clearing so you can have your own evolved consciousness to create more consciousness for you and our country in general. Jason, take it away.
Here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that evolved consciousness comes from applying the ecosystem approach on a regular basis.
Take a breath.
Gather up those veils and illusions, blow them into the trash can.
And to eliminate anger, hate, rage, and bitterness, which block my evolved consciousness, even if I don't feel it or know it. Take a breath, nice and easy. Get rid of all of that anger, rage, hate, and bitterness. Take a breath. Because it's blocking you. Blow it out. Right into that trash can or processor.
And to eliminate my fear of trusting that evolved consciousness brings out my best, even in a programming world.
Take a breath.
Gather up that fear of trusting, blow it into that processor.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that programming makes me live on the surface of life. Oh, there's so much more to life than that. Take a nice breath.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that I have to see the root cause of any problem to fix it.
Okay. Take a breath. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see clearing constantly, consistently, and specifically is necessary. Take a breath. Oh.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see the difference between consciousness and evolved consciousness.
There you go.
Take a breath.
I want to redo that last one, not the one you did, but I did. So, and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see clearing constantly, consistently, and specifically is necessary for the evolved consciousness in our world where everything is programmed. Take a breath. Take your hand, make it go all the way around the world. Now, take all that negative energy that you just collected and put it in the dumpster.
So, when we clear the world, what we do is we put our, imagine in your mind's eye that a big hand going around the world, gathering up all that negative energy, the veils and illusions, whatever it is, those emotions, and then putting it into a big dumpster at the end that's connected to the processor. So here we go. And to eliminate the barriers so that everyone in the world can see truth easily and effortlessly in a way that is unvarnished. Take a breath. Again, take that big hand around the world and put it into the dumpster. And to eliminate all the anger, bitterness, hate, resentment that keeps us from truth and that gets us pigeonholed into belief systems that have nothing to do with reality. Take a breath. And again, that hand going around the world into the dumpster.
There you go. Blow it out.
And to eliminate the barriers so that we can see that as human beings, we're all connected and the veils and illusions so we can see that that's the truth of our existence. Yes. So again, take that hand, go all the way around the world and into the dumpster.
And blow it out. Here's a big one, not only for you individually, but for the entire world. And to eliminate the false belief for all of us, all the way around the world, that believing, consciousness is even important, when the truth is, it is very important. All the way around the world, and yourself as well. And throw that negative energy into that dumpster.
And to eliminate the false belief that the only thing that's true is the things that we can perceive with our five senses, when that's not true at all. Exactly. Take a breath. And again, the hand all the way around the world into the dumpster.
And to eliminate the compulsion for everyone in the world to trust that we are machines because we've been programmed, versus that we're really humans. The truth is we are all connected. Take a nice big breath, hand around the world, and throw it into the dumpster.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions for everyone in the world so they can see that there's more to life than just what's on the surface. I want everyone to see that in the world. So put that hand all the way around the world into the dumpster right now.
Jason, are we ready to activate Life Force? Good. Follow me, everyone. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate Life Force energy so I can use Life Force energy for all that I need, want, desire, and deserve. Take a nice breath. Let all that energy go, positive energy, go right in through the top of your head, down your arms, down your torso, down to the tips of your toes. Now, blow out. We're going to blow out any negative energy, but we're going to use that Life Force energy to help us get it there. Meaning get it into the processor or the garbage can. Blow it out.
And to activate Life Force so I can trust that clearing my negative energies attached to me can refine my consciousness.
Oh, that's a good one, Jason. Pull it in through the top of your head and all the way to the tips of your toes. Now blow out any negative energy that's keeping you from doing exactly that. And to activate Life Force so I can have the determination to create my own evolved consciousness so I can be happy and healthy and strong and creative and aware of not only who I am, but what I'm doing here in this world. Take a breath. Let it go all the way in through the top of your head, clear down to the tips of your toes. Stop it, turn it around. Any negative energies left over, we're blowing out right now. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
We're going to talk about grief, death, and dying.
What?
And I know that's not a happy topic, but
No,
it was
not.
requested by one of our listeners. And it's relevant today because so many people are dying of COVID or other things. Maybe they can't even get into a hospital. Maybe their surgery or whatever that's life-saving is being postponed.
Or maybe they've lost their home and they're grieving. Things like that. I mean, that's huge.
It is huge. And we want to create some more clarity because as having evolved consciousness and our intuition,
yes,
we deal with death all the time. We see what happens after you die and that whole process. And a lot of times people are grieving because they have a misconception about what death and dying really is.
Right.
And people need to have more clarity about this. I think you'll find it very important. It's very important for you to understand this no matter what age you are. So even if you're not old and on the brink of saying goodbye, you still need to know because I guarantee you this affects all of you.
Well, it affects everyone.
There's always a grandmother, parent, someone that...
Well, and in this time, it could be a friend or a family member.
And it could happen very suddenly.
Yes.
What do you do? How do you frame it? Programming doesn't help.
Yeah.
Programming is the worst thing you can do when it comes to grief, trying to understand that.
Exactly.
If you've been listening and there's something inside of you that just says, yeah, there's something here. I want this evolved consciousness. I want this ecosystem approach. This makes sense to me. You're very special. And I just want to say to you that we've created this whole system where you can try this out, and it's all free. The way you do it is you listen to our show every single week, and do the clearings at the end, and then go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for our free subscription service, and there's a part there that checked for the weekly clearing list.
That's a newsletter, right? That's
a newsletter. It gets a backstory to the topic of the day. Okay. And we also have clearings in that. It's very, very helpful. A lot of our clients just use that. They put that on their phone and do the clearings all during the week until our next show.
Okay. We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.
Are you ready to let go of the I can'ts that are holding you down? Valerie Trujillo invites you to join her community on a mission to collectively heal as a tribe, where your vulnerability is heard and reciprocated. So tune in to Love and Light with the Crystal Blue Oracle every second and fourth Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Embrace the fear. Find your strength. For more information about Valerie and her work, visit crystalblueoracle.com.
The Coach Peggy Show. All things wellness with Coach Peggy Wilms. Tune in live every first and third Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Are you settling? No more. Coach Peggy takes on all things wellness. We go way beyond nutrition and fitness. The Coach Peggy Show is not afraid to be bold, badass, and it's never half in. For more information, visit allthingswellness.com.
Transition, simultaneously the most difficult and vital part of the human experience. Without change, how would we grow? Tune in to Grounding into Your Radiance with Stacey Barber every second and fourth Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Step into your truth and allow the light into your life. For more information about Stacey and her services, visit StaceyBarber.com. That's Stacey, STACIE, Barber.